Hey, Frank. Frank. Frankie. Say hi to everybody. Say hello, friends. Hello, friends. No, he's not having it. So, first things first, I apologize about the lighting, the sound, the hot mess you see behind me. You guys know that I recently moved. Been here beginning of January, and I was unpacking, and by February, everything came to a screeching halt. My husband and I both came down with COVID, which has not been fun. Uh, why would it be fun? uh, and I apologize if this video is a little all over the place. So this is going to be a video for you guys specifically on Patreon. I just wanted to touch bases with you guys. I wanted you guys to see me. I wanted you to hear me. I wanted you guys to connect with me on a level that you probably have never connected with me before. Frank is trying to make his cameo for you guys. So it was around February 2nd, my husband had started with like a sinus thing, and I was like, okay, but then it quickly moved from his sinuses down into his lungs. Meanwhile, I started getting sick too, but the way I started to get sick was the room, like when I would lay down at night, the room would start to spin uncontrollably. And I mean, it was the kind of spinning that was worse than a roller coaster ride. Okay, worse than anything I can even put into words. That's the kind of spinning that I. Okay, so and then I started in with like a sinus thing, and I noticed I had a rattle in my chest too. And for a couple of days we were like, this can't be COVID. There's no way this is COVID, right? Because we work from home. We don't go anywhere. If we do go anywhere, we protect ourselves, which is when we do go out, it's very rare that we go anywhere. That's the weird thing. It's really been hard to put this whole thing together as to where we could have gotten sick, who could have gotten us sick, or something like that. That's been the strangest part. That's not the strangest part, but it's one of the strange things that we've been trying to figure out. But my husband quickly got sick, really sick, and that's when I started to get really nervous. I was like, something else is not right here. And so what ended up happening is that he broke out into a fever, and I was like, he was just sitting in the chair, and he was trying to make sentences, okay? He was trying to explain things to me. Now, if some of you guys might know Chris is the guy with the gift of gab. He's very intelligent. He can write you a 5-page essay on one specific thought. He's very articulate. He talks a lot. He speaks with conviction, and I mean, he's just very smart, okay? And when he was talking to me, he would stop mid-sentence, kind of like I do on a regular basis. I do that. Nothing wrong with me. I just do it. But he would stop mid-sentence, and I would sit there patiently waiting for him, like, honey, what else did you have to say? And he would look at me and he would say, I don't remember what I was saying. And I was like, okay. So then he would start to try to say something to me, and he would get his words mixed up. He was calling the shower the kitchen table. And I was so confused by that. He was just mixing up words. And that's when I knew something was terribly, terribly wrong. On top of like the way I was feeling, the way the room was spinning, I was starting to have shortness of breath. I couldn't. I was starting to get confused myself, which made it scarier for me to help him along. Now, this is a man that's never been sick a day in his life since I've known him. I myself am fairly healthy. Um, you know, I it, it was just different. This entire situation was so different, and for a man to get sick the way he did was a bit terrifying. Um, and crazy. It was just crazy, the whole situation. And I'm trying to piece it back together because it went by in such a blur. It was such a blur. The memories of this past month were just very blurrish, like out of your body kind of feel, like very strange, just very strange. Okay, so I'm gonna just shorten this all up because I just want you guys to know that everything's okay. But what ended up happening is he was sitting in the chair and he was not making any sense to me. Okay, he was like in and out of consciousness, and I said, I called the paramedics. I said, I need you guys here. I said, please somebody come. They end up showing up. They took one look at him and they put a pulse oximeter on him. They checked his sugar levels. They do what they normally do, and the guy stood there and looked at him and said, well, the paramedic basically diagnosed him with COVID. And in my mind, I'm like, well, he's gasping for air. He's not making any sense. And how can you just stand there and diagnose him with just COVID? Like, what? Okay. So the paramedic, told us to just take Benadryl and rest, and you're going to have to sleep this thing off. And I'm like, okay. And I wasn't, looking back at it, I'm actually pissed at myself because I should have fought harder for him. I'm sorry. I should have fought harder for him because what we didn't know at the time, was that he had blood clots in his lungs from the COVID. And the paramedics, that's part of this that really just fucks me up, because how do you, as a paramedic, how do you just stand there and diagnose somebody with something, like you don't have x-ray vision, you're not getting inside of their body? And so I guess we were both kind of like, whatever, we'll just take him at his word and whatever. So the next day was twice as traumatic for him because the pain in his chest got so much worse. He could barely breathe. And I was like, this is it. I'm calling the paramedics back. And you guys probably think, well, why didn't you just take him to the hospital? I couldn't get him in a car. He couldn't walk. He could barely move. He's about 300 pounds. He's a tall dude. There would have been no way for me to carry him to the car. And I was desperate. I was desperate for help for him. So I called the paramedics, and this time I was ready for war. I was ready for war. I was getting ready to record this entire interaction with these paramedics. I was prepared, because I was like, if they're gonna show up again and tell me that he just has to sleep this off, I was ready to fight. I was ready to kick some fucking ass on my front porch. I'm not even kidding you. So thank God these paramedics showed up. They were so professional. They were so sweet. They can see the trauma that this was causing us, the distress that he was in. And then they checked him all out. They geared him all up. They had to put oxygen on him because his saturation levels and his O2 were just so fucking low. And they got him to the hospital, and once he had left, I felt the biggest sigh of relief come over me, because there would have been nothing I could have done to help him. Nothing. And it just made me feel better that the second set of paramedics that had showed up had they taken what I was saying seriously this time. Because before it was like, well, the doctors are just gonna look you over and they're gonna send you home. Well, his case was so serious that the administrator of the hospital came and met him in the ER room and said, we have very limited room for people with COVID, but you're such a severe case that we're going to admit you, and you're going to be here for some time, which they prepared him for. And I guess the scariest part for him was the fact that I couldn't be there with him and help him through it. So he had to do this all on his own. Meanwhile, I'm here, I'm sick, and I feel like my life is spinning out of control. And I'm doing my very best to take care of myself. And I know the hospital had told him they were encouraging him to make sure that I go and get tested, which I already knew what was wrong with me because of this man breathes on me the whole day. How can I not get sick, right? So I had to go to this clinic. They tested me, of course, I come back positive. It told me stuff I already knew. They checked my lungs. I had a rattle in my chest, and they gave me medication for all of that. But there's a lot of people out there who want to tell you that this is just a normal flu. This is just there is nothing normal about COVID. There's nothing normal about this entire situation. Because what I didn't know was that there's this thing called COVID brain, okay? And it affects how it affects the brain, I'm not sure. I didn't research it that much, but I knew that there was something different happening in my mind, in my brain. There was something different happening. Now, I noticed my eye-hand coordination was off. Some people might just call this vertigo. I'm sorry. You can't call it something if you've never experienced it for yourself. But my eye-hand coordination was off. My balance was off. I had noticed that when I was trying to eat something, like you would you put food in your mouth, and like my brain stopped register, like my brain didn't register that I had put food in my mouth, so the food fell out of my mouth. It slopped all over my shirt, and that happened several times. It scared the hell out of me. It it acts a lot like a stroke, but I was scanned for, signs of a stroke, and nothing appeared to be of a stroke. Um, I had I had this severe pain in the side of my head that was like you could put your finger right here, and it was like a pinpoint pain right through my brain, right through my skull, and then the whole side of my face went numb, and then my lips went numb with this. That was scaring me to fucking no end. I was just, and I'm here by myself too, guys. I'm sitting here by myself. I have Frank. He's such a big help. But I had Frank. I don't have any friends here. I don't have any family here. All of our family, they live back in the Midwest. And, the whole time that he's in the hospital, I'm over here trying to keep my shit together, trying to hold it down for myself. And I think it was just a very scary time to be here by yourself, because something else that I've noticed that this COVID does to you is it takes your brain into some very dark thoughts, very, very dark places of your mind. And one of the thoughts that I had, and I can actually remember, was, if he's in the hospital and I sit here in this chair and I die, who's gonna know? Who's gonna know that I died in here? Nobody's gonna know. So, this COVID shit fucks with your head mentally. It plays games with you. It's evil. And despite my best efforts to isolate and protect myself, it still somehow made its way into our fucking house. And my husband can tell you the same thing when it comes to this COVID thing. He'll tell you the same thing, that it messes with you mentally. There's a mental mind fuck happening to you. And it's so hard to describe. It's so hard to put into words what that experience is like for people. And I get it. People are gonna experience this. Like, everybody's different. But those are the two things that we can compare notes on. You know what I mean? So, and him with his coordination and stuff like that, and his wobbliness, and yeah, that kind of thing. We can kind of compare notes there too. So, they had my husband, they kept him for 8 days. About the 5th day in, I can tell he was more and more mentally tired, because he ends up calling me, which was kind of cool, because we still could communicate with each other. Whether, if there were some days where he wasn't strong enough to talk, so we can text, and then there were some days where he couldn't text at all. He was just so tired. So, but at least we still had that. Families, there are a lot of families who don't even get that. They don't get that. So I can say that I feel fortunate that we had that. But I knew it was about the fifth day, and he was so tired. So tired. And I knew he was tired because, then he started instructing me on where to find the life insurance policy. It's just not a conversation you want to have. As he said to me, I need you to listen and I need you to pay attention. He said, I don't think I'm gonna make it. He told me to write down what he was saying, and gave me specific instructions about what I should do with him and his body, and again talking about the life insurance policy. And it's just like, I don't want to have this conversation with you. And I think that was the toughest part. The toughest part of this whole thing. Because I thought about him sitting there by himself. I thought, how is this even fair? How is this even fair for somebody to be experiencing this and not have their loved ones? Not be by their side, not to comfort them. It just it doesn't seem fair. It never felt fair. So after some time, after a few days had gone by, I guess he started to feel stronger in some way. Started to improve. He started to get a little bit better, at least strong enough to walk. Then the doctors were explaining that, we want to get you at home so you can heal home. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. When doctors feel comfortable enough to send you home, you're going to heal a lot faster. You're going to heal better when you're at home. But there has to be some kind of comfort in their hearts in order to send somebody home that has just been through the ringer, right? So they start preparing us for him to come home, which took so much longer than I expected. He had to come home with oxygen, a pulse oximeter, all types of medications, you name it. You name it. We have it in the house. We have it. They just made sure that they taught me how to clean the house. They told me that I was gonna have to stay in a separate room and try to stay away from him. We had to stay away from each other. I was like, well, as long as he's home, we'll make it happen. And we've had to make it happen. I gotta tell you though that his time at home has been kind of bumpy too. He was here for a few days. He had to go back to the hospital. Um, Now there's this thing called a COVID rash that comes along with having COVID. I didn't know that was a thing until he started with this rash. Basically, what he's experiencing is like, if for him, he'll tell you it feels like a chemical burn from head to toe. Thank God, like, his more sensitive parts on his body are not burning, because that would probably send him through the roof. Um, but he has a rash that we've had to tend to and care for. Meanwhile, he's on oxygen. He'll probably be on oxygen for a while. Um, so we got the rash under control. Um, he's actually been back and forth to the hospital at 3 times altogether because he is just having a hard time. Um, but I myself, I've been improving a little bit every day. We're both starting physical therapy um, because of the things that our brains have experienced with COVID. Um, which I when people try to tell me that this is normal vertical, or they reach out to me, like I've had friends reach out to me just to tell me, in some ways I don't even know if they're checking in on me, checking in on us, just to, I don't know, they seem to reach out to me already prepared to throw some kind of conspiracy theory at me, or um, they just check on me to be nosy, or they just, I don't know, they just they just don't really seem to get it. And I feel bad for them, because I just feel bad for them, because if they ever have to experience this, maybe this will teach them everything that I've been trying to explain to people. Like, I don't have the energy to entertain people. I'm saying more specifically my friends. I don't have the energy to entertain them when it comes to this entire situation. Like, I had a friend who said, he wouldn't have gotten sick if, you know, he didn't have blood clots in his lungs. And I said, he didn't have blood clots in his lungs uh, to begin with. The COVID is what amplified and irritated his lungs so bad that he ended up with blood clots, like that. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody is uh, a doctor or a scientist. I mean, in my personal opinion, if you know so much about microbiology and everything else, then why don't you quit your day job, slap on your scientist lab jacket, and get out there and help fight this fight? That's just my personal opinion. Um, it's gotten so offensive to the point where, and this is kind of normal in this community, anyways, because we have the Ralph Smarts of this community who want to make whatever's happening right now about something else, about these 5G towers, whatever conspiracy theories they got going on. I'm sorry, you're not gonna come to me and dump that shit on my life, especially when I'm sitting here talking about life insurance policies with my husband. So really, when it comes to my friends, it's like I just want to, kiss my ass, because I'm living it, and so many other people on this planet have had to deal with it and say goodbye to people. They've had to say goodbye to their loved ones, and I feel my doctor even said that we are some of the lucky few that had gotten sick, and um, made it out, even though, like, this has been going into the second month of recovery. you know I do consider us lucky, and whatever battles and whatever challenges we're about to deal with, we're going to deal with together. But I sincerely do not need people again, specifically more of my friends to slide in my DMs, message me, call me, just to dump some conspiracy theory in my face. I'm sorry, I just don't have the energy to entertain your bullshit, at this point. A couple of days ago I had to log off of my Facebook because, people have gotten so like inconsiderate about the things they've said about COVID. Inconsiderate, like they play this off like it's a joke, it's a hoax, it's this is all fabricated, like everything that people have experienced. They want to come through and downplay it all, and they have an answer or some kind of rebuttal for everything that you say, it's offensive to me, especially when you're opening up to your friends and you're saying, well, I experienced this today. My lips went numb today. This, that, and the third. And you tell them that, and they're coming back, well, oh, you're just experiencing this, and it's just this, and it's just, okay. Again, if you know so much about my medical history, you know so much about COVID, again, get out there in the front lines and kick some ass with the rest of these scientists and whoever, Dr. Fauci's, and you just go out there and you handle business, okay? Quit your day job, get out there and bust a hump with the rest of them, and keep on downplaying what I'm experiencing here, and downplaying especially what he's experiencing. And, this isn't just about me or him. This is about, again, millions of people all over this planet who've had to experience this. And for some, this is worse than others. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I'm here. I'm getting better every day, guys. I want to get up and running again. I want to finish putting my house together. Meanwhile, I'm taking care of him. I don't know. I don't know what to expect, okay? Because in my mind, what I thought when he came home, he was gonna just improve. He improved a little, and then he fell back, because then we had this like COVID rash thing happening. So I want to get back into some kind of regular schedule here. I want to be able to be there for you guys like I was before this whole thing, my whole world come crashing down on my face once again. I don't know if you guys have been noticing a fucking pattern in my life, but I've been noticing it. Every time it seems like I get going on something, I've had the fires. We had to evacuate. We had to find a new place to live. We had to, and then we get here, and then COVID, and then blah 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 blah. It just seems like every time I think I'm getting ready to take off again, the universe has sat me back down and said, I don't think so, homie. That's the kind of vibe I'm catching. That's the vibe I'm catching. But it is because I have thrown away my intuition when it comes to a lot of shit that I've been listening to in the spiritual community. But you guys are going to start to hear me get very vocal about things, because I'm not going to let anybody be led astray by anybody. I'll get into detail about that some other time. Right now, I'm here. If you have any suggestions or anything for like pick cards or video ideas, let me know, because I'll knock them out. I want to thank all of you guys. Because you could easily just dump me and be like, you know what, whatever. You're not working on Patreon like you said you were. Da 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 da. You guys were there for the fires and sitting in the hotel. Let me use hotel towels for your pick of cards. But you guys were so fun about it. You guys just let me have fun with that. That was fun. But I just thanks for reaching out. Thank you for the thoughts and the prayers, and just thank you for, supporting me the way you guys have. A special shout out to Mary, who made that beautiful dream catcher for me a couple months back. Frank absolutely loves it. I gotta keep it high up or he'll get to the feathers. He likes to get the feathers on that thing. And I promise you, this is my bedroom. I still gotta put together this bedroom. I have to put together the studio with the lights and the better sound. Hopefully I can get some better sound in here. But anyways, now I'm rambling on and I gave myself a headache talking about this. Long story short, there is no long story short with me, guys. But I love you and thank you for being there. Let's move forward. I appreciate that you guys understand that like things are still gonna be a little bumpy for me. Uh, I'm anticipating not too much longer. Like this has been long enough. Okay, I'm done. I'm so done. I'm ready for a trip to Hawaii. After this stuff goes away. But I love you guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Send me some suggestions. Bye.